Welcome to the Financial Coaches Podcast, where we talk about how to build your practice from startup to scale up while being the kind of coach your clients crave. Finally, a podcast for financial coaches. Here are your hosts, Maria Casillas and Cody Sizemore.
Hello and welcome back to the Financial Coaches Podcast. My name is Cody Sizemore and I'm joined here by my lovely co-host Maria Casillas. And today we're going to be talking about something that I kind of found out and saw some trends and I was like, why don't we just try this instead? And it's been working really, really well. So before we get into any of that though, just want to say a few things. Number one, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. It's good to see you. We're happy you're here. And we hope that you get some value from this. And if you do, we would love it if you could leave a review, if you could rate the show, if you could share the show, anything like that. We don't get paid for this. We don't take ads from this. So any sort of support with leaving a rating or sharing it, it really does go a long way. So, but we're just happy that you're here. So if you just want to listen today and call it a day, that's fine too. We just appreciate you. But then we also have some people who've been listening for a long time, every single week. And those are the people that we call our every weekers. And we just want to give a special shout out to you guys and say thank you for the continued support. You guys are a big reason as to why this show is still here. And, it's a big reason why we do this as well, is for people who are just like, I need a little bit of a dose of Cody and Maria in my life this week, So we really appreciate that. And, if you haven't yet, there's a really good way for us to connect as coaches alike, but then also with just like us, us as the hosts. And a really good place to do that would be through our Facebook group. It's free to join, and you're welcome to join in there, say hi, ask questions, whatever comes to your heart. And if you are interested in joining that, if you haven't yet, that Facebook group is simply called the Financial Coaches Community by New Money Habits. So just search that up on Facebook, press the join button, answer a few small questions, and you'll be good to go. So with that being said, I want to bring in Maria, say hi to you, ask you how you're doing, and then we'll jump into everything from here. So hi, how are things going?
I'm doing really well, thank you. I appreciate you asking. Things are good.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. At the time of this recording, you're going to be like, I don't even know, but I want to ask because I'm curious. At the time of this recording, the Super Bowl has not happened yet. It's actually happening this Sunday, and I'm curious about two questions. Number one is, who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl, Maria? And number two is, do you know who's playing in the Super Bowl?
Well, I wish you would have asked those in reverse order because no, I don't. And B, I don't care. I'm really sorry, Cody. This is one spot where, we just agree to not be similar.
Okay.
I've been sort of forced to see in the background some of the playoffs. So at one point, I'm sure I knew who was going to get into something, but no, I know that my husband's Bears were in the playoffs and then did not advance. So I know that much.
Yep.
So it's not them. And
I was very happy to see.
Yes, I know that you were, but
Yes.
no, I admittedly don't know. I have a different Super Bowl story, which is a little bit more maternal than it is anything else. But my daughter, who at the time of this recording is turning 13 today, she was born the very day after the Super Bowl in 2013, it would have been. And I remember timing contractions during the entire Super Bowl. I was actually at someone's house watching game and there's timing contractions during that time, which was notable mostly because she was 2 months premature, and so I should not have had contractions during that time. And that was a big deal. And then the next day she was born. So anyway, we're celebrating that today, and I always know that the Super Bowl is always around this time because of that connection. Otherwise, I have no idea even when it is, if I'm being fully honest. But I also always remember that she was born on a Monday, and that's why I remember that.
Okay. All right. So that's interesting.
You didn't expect it to go that direction, did you?
I'll tell you that the two teams are the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay, see? I mean, I've heard that, but to put that into my memory never would have ever occurred to me.
Yep. And this is an interesting Super Bowl for many reasons. I'm going to throw out a prediction, which, I might look like a genius, or I might look like a idiot when this
Man, you got a
episode
50-50
actually,
shot either way.
yeah,
So, I
yeah,
mean,
when it actually drops, that's what's going to happen. But I'm going to say this, and then we'll get off the topic of football, but I just want to talk about a little bit. Um, this is a rematch. This is an interesting Super Bowl because it's a rematch of a Super Bowl that happened 10 years ago, and it
okay.
was one of the more controversial Super Bowls because basically the Seattle Seahawks were on the 1 yard line with like 30 seconds left. They were about to win. All they needed to do is just get a touchdown, and it was like second down, something like that. And instead of just running the ball to get 1 yard, they called a pass play instead, and it got intercepted on the 1 yard line, and then the Patriots won the Super Bowl.
Oh,
So very, very controversial. It's a rematch of that Super Bowl. So it's kind of like poetry in certain ways. Um, with that being said, I am not a believer in the New England Patriots. I'm not. I think that they have had the easiest path to Super Bowl in NFL history. There's 17 games in the regular season. Of their 17 games, I'm pretty sure that 13 of the teams that they faced, or 10, or 12 of their teams, something like that, those teams have since fired their head coaches
hmm.
because they were so bad. And then the other teams were the NFC South, which is the worst division in football. So it was a very easy schedule for them to get there. And then even in the playoffs, their schedule was also very easy,
Mm.
super easy. They faced a team that had a quarterback that like threw 4 interceptions in that game, played like crap. And then the next game they played in the AFC Championship, and the quarterback for the opposing team broke his ankle. That didn't, it was an easy path for them there too. And it was just an easy path for them. So I think that they're going to get a wake up call. And my score prediction is going to be New England
Oh,
Patriots
score.
17, Seattle Seahawks 31. I don't even think it's going to be close. I think that they're going to wipe the floor. 2 scores.
Wow. So you
They're
weren't
good.
even just going with predicting who's going to win. So I gave you 50-50 odds, but you
Mhm.
went full on scoring and everything.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
So,
So are you a
but
betting man?
anyways,
Are you putting money on this or
I'm not a betting man. I work too hard for my money. I don't like betting.
if your month was a better month, would you be betting on this?
No, no. I've gone to the casino and I will just go there and watch my friends gamble. You
Me
know,
too. That's
yeah,
exactly what I do.
yeah.
Yep.
I
I get
might throw like
excited for
20
them and
bucks
then
down or something, but
yeah.
that's it.
Yep, yep.
So
That's how I am too. That's pretty funny.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, bringing me up to date on all of that. I'm sitting there going, God, I'm just really glad I understand most of the terms that he just used.
Hmm. Hmm.
I did not know. I don't know the term. I think it was playback. No, that's not that. Of course not. What was it? What was the term you used? It was a P word, but I don't know which one. Um, I don't know. It was when you were describing what they did instead of just running the ball.
Oh, a pass play.
Pass play. So it was two B words.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know what a pass play is. I kind of figured out what you were talking about outside of that. But yeah, I'm just glad I
It's
could
a
keep up with
play.
the conversation
It's a play where you
where they
pass.
pass the ball.
So now you know.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I could figure it out, but like the strategy around it, it is not something that is that important to me. But because you are important to me, I listen.
Aw, I appreciate that.
So, what are we actually talking about today?
Yeah, yeah. So with that, really what we're kind of talking about today is is essentially like a way to help your clients accomplish their goals more efficiently, right?
Mm,
And I brought this up because, and I don't even know if like this is what most coaches do. I don't know if this is, the correct way of doing things, but I'll at least share like my perspective on it and why I recommend it. But basically, what I kind of teach my clients is that, hey, over the course of a month, we have the money come in, we have different expenses that we need to pay for. I recommend, hey, like, let's get through all of that. And then once all of that's kind of done and buttoned up, and we're at the end of the month, we can look at your surplus that you have. Now, we have a projected surplus at the beginning of the month. And oftentimes, it falls pretty in line with that by the end of the month, but sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. So we'll look at the surplus that you have And then we'll take that and we will then apply that towards whatever financial goal that we're working on, whether it be paying down debt, investing, savings, whatever it might be, kind of thing. And the reason um, that I kind of suggest that and I teach that to most of my clients is because I think that mentally it's better to do it that way. Because if something unexpected were to come up, maybe a vet bill or a car repair or whatever it might be, and someone has let's say like a $1,500 surplus, right? I think that mentally it's better to take that $1,500 surplus and cash flow whatever sort of event may have came up, so that you can then tell yourself like, hey, this sucks that this happened, but it was good that I was able to manage my money in a way to where I could handle it and move forward, right? And I'm not making progress on my goals per se, but I am making progress with my finances because I'm not going backwards and I'm handling things as they arise, kind of thing. And I think that mentally, that's a good thing to have as compared to, if we were to be a little bit more aggressive with paying these goals or putting money towards these goals. Maybe we put it towards a credit card, halfway through the month kind of things. We take that $1,500 and we just put it in there when you get paid or, halfway through the month or whatever. You put that $1,500 towards that credit card and then something happens, like a car repair or whatever it might be. And then in that circumstance, you have to either A, pull from savings, or B, maybe, you're required to put it back on the credit card kind of thing. So mentally, I'm like, well, in that circumstance, it's almost as if you get that high from making some progress, but then it kind of gets taken away from you, right? And it feels like you're taking one step forward and one step back as compared to just handling something, conquering something, and moving forward kind of thing. So that's why I've suggested that for most of my clients up until this point. And generally speaking, Maria, that works well for most people, right? They're either A, able to make really good progress, or B, if something does come up, they're able to handle it, cash flow it, and move on, kind of thing. So generally speaking, that structure has worked really well. I've seen a lot of people have a lot of success with that structure. However, there are certain people and certain clients that I've found that structure does not work very well. And that's what's really starting to stem this whole conversation. So before I go any further, I want to take a break because I know that sometimes I can get talking and I'll just keep talking, right? But I want to give you a chance to just say anything that you feel like is on your heart, if there is anything. Hey, Maria, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I must have muted myself because of the airplanes. I
There
apologize.
we go. Okay. All right.
Okay, so what I was going to say is that one of the things that first came to mind was the irony of the conversation that we just had last episode about the planning and the push and all of that stuff. And so as you were talking now, I was like, oh, it's really funny that he sees that for some of these people, that whole step forward, 3 steps back, that feeling, and that came to me while you were talking. But outside of that, I'm glad to hear you say that for some of the clients, it's not working. And it's not that I'm glad that it's not working for them. It's just that when you know a little bit about human psychology, it makes sense that wouldn't work for everybody. I'm assuming that there are some clients who don't spend in a way that's super productive for them, that it's not a super healthy way. And if there's money in their pocket, it's burning that hole in their pocket. And so for individuals like that, having that extra $1,500 and not putting it toward whatever goal they have, it very well might end up being just evaporated into thin air and wondering at the end of the month, where did that $1,500 go? And now not only did they not cash flow something unexpected, they also didn't get their goals. And so it feels
Correct.
very wheel spinning for them. So I don't know if that's the type of client you're talking about that's kind of come up for you or something totally different.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Basically, the types of clients that I found that the initial structure hasn't worked for is the clients that struggle with two things. Number one would be consistency, and number two would be spending habits, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that there hasn't been efforts or steps taken to help them with that. Like I do a lot of work around like mindset and relationship with money that has a role with like spending habits and stuff like that. We can also structure things around their budgeting process to help them with their spending habits as well. Um, So, oftentimes the people who have those struggles in the first place, before we meet, they're spending so much that they're going into a deficit, which is what has
Hmm.
caused their credit card balances to rise, right? So with the money psychology exercises and the relationship money things and the tactics that we can do to help them with their spending habits as a whole, um, at least they're not going into the deficit anymore. But there's a new
Hmm.
problem to where it's like, hey, you're improving with this. We can see the improvement because you're not going backwards anymore. But what you are still doing is you're still spending everything that you have, right?
Yeah.
So instead of spending everything you have and more, now it's just we're spending everything that we have, right? And it's
Hmm.
it's those clients that I've taken a little bit of a different approach with to help um, change the game of no longer going backwards and also change the game of no longer staying stagnant, but instead actually making that forward progression. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to share just a very simple change that I've been making with some of these clients and also share how it's been working as well.
Yes. Before you share that, I'd like to just make one distinguishment.
Hmm.
Um, and that is, I'm sure that you have clients who whatever you're going to explain to us now that you use for them when they have regular cash flow, and then also when there is unexpected money, whether that's some
Hmm.
windfall of some way, shape, or form. And I believe that the approach that you take will probably be very similar, but I just wanted our listeners to be able to hear that difference now and go, there are going to be times when we want them to not spend everything that they have coming in anyway. Sometimes, even if you get them into a good place, it's when they get that windfall, that $1,500 or $2,000, that we need to like double down on whatever it is you're about to tell us. So
Yeah, yeah,
listen to
100%.
that as you're,
Especially this time of year with like tax returns
yeah.
and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
bonus money, like, I know my husband gets a bonus right around this time each year, so I'm sure he's
Mhm.
not the only one. So yes, any sort of windfall, that'll be something. It's the same thing that I'm guessing that you're gonna talk about, but on steroids.
Correct. And even
Yeah,
I had a meeting last night with the client that falls in this bucket that we're going to be kind of talking about.
okay.
And they just told me last night, they're like, hey, we did our taxes and we're going to be getting between state and federal, we're going to be getting $21,000 back.
Dang!
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, sounds good. Let's develop a plan here.
Wow. Okay.
Uh, so yeah. And I also told him, I'm like, you should also adjust your withholding.
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know, like that's a lot of money. It's a
yeah.
lot of money kind of thing.
Unless they
So
have, like, 15 kids and that's why they're getting that much money back.
no, no, they
No.
don't. They
Okay,
only
then
I think they have two two kids.
okay. Yeah,
So
that's not just child tax credits then.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
some okay,
this
go on.
withholding thing is going on. But anyways, the process that I just explained of how I would typically recommend, I'm going to call that backloading your financial goals because that's essentially what you're doing. We're doing it at the back end of the month, making sure that everything is buttoned up really nice and neat, and then making that progress, right?
Mhm.
For the people who've been struggling with this, though, in effort to make sure that we still take advantage of that surplus, what I've been doing with them is I've been front loading their financial goals. So basically, every time that they get paid, we would do like a forecast of like, hey, between now and the next time that you get paid. So this could be a week, this could be 2 weeks, whatever it might be. We're going to make sure that we have money for the bills that are coming up during that period of time, and we're also going to make sure that we do a forecast of what you're going to need for the like daily living expenses, the variable stuff, groceries, gas, on money, stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
And we're going to take a percentage of that and basically just make sure that those things are covered, right? And then also have like a little bit of a sliver for miscellaneous things, just in case something does come up, kind of thing. And then after we do some calculations on that, we would then take whatever surplus is left for that period of time and apply it towards your goals immediately, kind of thing. So, for example, let's say that someone has a $3,000 paycheck, and during that period of time, before they get paid next, they would have $2,000 of expenses that they need to pay, prepare for, fund, whatever it might be. We would look at that and we'd say, okay, we have 3,000 coming in. We know that before you get paid next, there's going to be an estimated around 2,000 coming out. So let's take 1,000 and let's put it toward your debt right now. Or let's take 1,000 and let's put it into your sleep well at night fund right now, kind of thing. Um, Now, there are pros and cons that come
Mhm.
with that, right? So the pros are they're actually making progress.
Mhm.
They're not staying stagnant. They're actually doing the things that they wanted to do when they signed up for this program, right? That's the pro. The con is that it's a little risky because we don't know if something is going to come up that's unexpected. What we're planning for is what we know is going to happen, and we're leaving
Mhm.
just a little bit for the just in cases moments, right? So it can lead to people feeling a little bit tight before they get paid next. But I tell people, I'm like, is the uncomfortability of feeling a little bit tight on money before you get paid next worth it as compared to the uncomfortability of going throughout an entire month of trying to work a plan and having it not work? Which uncomfortability would you rather deal with? Which hard would you rather choose? Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and I asked them this before we agree. Right. And every time I've asked them, they've always said, I'd rather feel a little bit tight than feel stagnant, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I've been doing this. And for these types of clients, it's actually been working really well, really, really well. Then, uh, give you an example. Been working with a woman in Florida for about a year, and she definitely falls in this bucket, right? And we started doing this about 4 months ago. And the amount of growth that we've seen over the last 4 months as compared to the first eight is like not even comparable.
Mhm.
Not even comparable. Like she's actually making so much progress on her goals now because we did it this way, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so that's really the whole structure of everything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious to know what this is going to come out wrong. And so don't take it the wrong way. What took 8 months to discover?
Discover the problem.
Hmm. Like, yeah. What about, why did it take 8 months to
Yeah, yeah.
recognize that?
So with her in particular, she had done well initially. Like for the first 3 months, she had done really
Mhm.
well because it was new, it was exciting.
Performance.
She,
Hmm.
everything like that, right? And then like months 4 through 8, it started to wear off a little bit. In those months, it was me basically meeting with her and basically beating a dead horse.
Hmm.
Just being like, "Hey, this is what we need to do. We know that you need to do this. Are you going to do this? Yes, I'm going to do this. Why are you going to do this? This is why I'm going to do this. Okay, well, let's turn the page in this next month. Sound good? Sounds great. Doesn't happen,
Hmm.
right? And that
Hmm.
happened for like 4 months.
Okay.
And after the fourth time, I was like, we can't keep doing this.
Okay.
We can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
So let's change this. And that's where this whole idea kind of spawned from. She was the first one that I did this with,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw how it benefited her. So now I've been implementing that with a couple more of my clients that kind of fall in that bucket over the last several months, and it's been working well.
Yeah.
That's why it took 8 months.
Yeah. No, and then I'm glad that you didn't take offense to the question because it wasn't
Mm-mm.
meant to be that way.
Nope.
Um,
Legitimate question.
yeah, just training, our brains to be able to recognize patterns like that. And I really appreciate
Yeah.
that there was 3 months of actual progress because
Mhm.
it was new and exciting. And, we tried to perform in that amount of time. So when it comes to individuals like her, but that have another bend where they self-sabotage,
Mhm.
how do you see this working out for people like that? So it's not just that they spend money because it's burning a hole in their pocket. There's like an actual underlying subconscious self-sabotage that they're starting to do because for whatever reason, maybe it's that they don't know what it feels like to have security. Maybe the idea of security messes with their heads. Like whatever that case is, that they actually self-sabotage. How do you see this working for them?
Well, I think the first step would be that we would need to unpack that, you know? Um, it wouldn't necessarily be like a strategic thing of like, oh, we can solve this by simply making this tweak or
Right.
doing things a little bit differently. I think it really would require some deeper conversations
Mm-hmm.
that might get uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
but they're necessary. So I think that's probably the first step. And then beyond that, like after you have those conversations and things are brought to light a little bit more, I think that the answers of how you would approach solving that will then present themselves.
Yeah,
And
I
I think
agree
it's
with that.
probably different from person to person.
I agree with that.
Hmm.
And it's why I'm bringing it up, because if you hear this episode and you think, I've tried this backloading and it's not working, so these people must be the kind who spend money, I'm just going to now try this front loading. I just caution you to take a step back and find out, like, what is causing some of that. And if it is more of the just the money's there and I don't really know how to not spend it, then this front loading might be the absolute solution for you. If it is more of a deep issue where they just, no matter what they do, they're going to self-sabotage, you might need to tweak this. So I wanted to make sure that our listeners heard that. So
Hmm.
one other thing I like to bring up, and then we can wrap this up, is, I don't love the whole all or nothing, two options only, unless we're
Hmm.
talking about an absolute truth, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
there is, I believe there's probably some middle ground. And I don't know what that solution is. I have one suggestion, I guess, but it could be anything. But if we have somebody who maybe they fall in that category of they've tried the whole front loading thing, but their money is kind of, dwindling a little bit. If it's in their pocket, they want to spend it, but they're not super comfortable with the risk that comes with just taking that $1,000 and putting it directly towards whatever goal they have. There could be maybe like a special high yield savings account or something that is easily and readily accessible, but not so readily accessible that they're just going to go and swipe their debit card to spend that money. So, for example, if they have that $1,000 that was left over, I'm going to use leftover, it was surplus for them in that moment, that they could transfer that out. So it's sort of out of sight, out of mind, but it's not yet given to the purpose. And then at the end of the month, when they haven't spent that, then transfer that. And so I could just see that being as a decent middle ground.
Yes, it's definitely a good route. I think that the only thing that I would caution on with that is that sometimes, if we put money aside like that, they know it's there,
Yeah.
so they could very easily, self-sabotage. They could justify, whatever it might be. And that could also get out kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It
I think
absolutely
it,
could.
yeah, I think it really just depends on you getting to know your
The
client
client. Hmm.
and then understanding like which route is going to serve their personality type the most kind of
Yep.
thing.
Yep. Yeah. And so the moral of the story is be creative, use the tools that you have available to you, but get to know your clients first and use that creative brain that God gave you to kind of figure out what would be best. And it's okay to do trial and error. That's part of the reason that I asked Cody, hey, why did it take 8 months for you to figure this
Mhm,
out? It
mhm,
wasn't like a slap on the wrist. It was like, because we need to see what we're dealing with sometimes. We need to watch for patterns. And until we see those patterns, we really don't know what to expect. And she presented one pattern for 3 months because it was the behave well pattern. And then that went away and subsided. It went to it gave way, is what I'm trying to say, to her more natural pattern. It's like she kind of got back into her natural groove of things. And that's where the Cody then saw 4 months of, whether it was sabotage or just whatever, that pattern kind of expressed it showed its face for him. And then he was like, okay, now let's fix this. So
mhm. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for letting me bring that up today.
yeah, of course. I mean, I think it's something that it's a tangible thing that our listeners can use. So
Mhm,
of course, I'm gonna let you
absolutely.
bring it up.
Awesome, guys. Well, I know that there's probably someone out there listening who's like, I know exactly who I can try this
Yep.
with who I'm serving right now. So
Yep.
go do it. Go try it. See how it goes. And if it works, great, amazing. And if it's something that helps, but there's still some tweakings that you need to make, use your best judgment. Get creative. Try something new. And hopefully that helps not only your clients grow, but also you as a coach as well, which
Amen.
is why we do this whole podcast in the first place. Can I get an amen?
Amen. Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All righty, guys. Well, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Financial Coaches Podcast. We will be back next week with another episode, and it's going to be a fun one. You guys
See you
enjoy the
then.
rest of your week. We'll catch you then.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Coaches Podcast, brought to you by New Money Habits and Sizemore Financial Coaching. Submit your questions to our hosts by emailing podcast@newmoneyhabits.com. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future episodes and join our growing group of like-minded coaches on Facebook. And until next time, happy coaching.